Rolling.
Rolling, rolling, rolling. Mic check. Yeah? Okay. Shall I begin? Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pod. This is Mena, and no, wait. Hold on. Okay. Welcome to the pod. I'm your host, Mena, and today we're here with New York City's finest, Kinen, aka GridWalker, aka K-Slic, aka. Do you want to even say all the names? There's so many names.
So many names.
So many.
Kinen's fine.
How are you today?
I'm good. Had a good event last night.
Yeah.
That was nice. So went home, rested, and I'm up, ready to have a little conversation.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you again so much for being here and
Mm.
for being our first guest on this podcast.
Yes.
I know we talked about the reason why I wanted to start this podcast, but I wanted to let everyone know the reason why I wanted to begin this. Well, on a personal level, being a freestyle dancer myself, I always end up having conversations with other people who have dance as their lifestyle and creative expression. And the conversation always is so valuable that I felt like more people need to hear this, especially from people like you and others who this is their life, you know. So with the launch of Manifest as well, which highlights street dance artists and the creative process behind the dance, I felt like who better than you to be the first guest on this episode.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kinen
yeah.
is one of our New York's community's leaders, and he's contributed so much to the culture that I felt like for the first episode, I would love to touch on some basic foundational questions and really hear your perspectives on it.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, the first question I have for Keenan is, could you please tell me in your own words what a street dancer is and what the mentality of a street dancer is?
For sure. Let me just put my phone on Do Not Disturb because I'm still getting those vibrations. Yeah, for sure. First off, thank you for setting this up, having me here, doing this podcast. I think this is going to be really cool to provide information for the community here in New York, but also wherever anyone else is tuning in. So
Yes.
honored to be here. Shout outs to Manifest. Okay,
Yo, if you don't follow Manifest, I don't know what you're doing. You better go on Instagram, type Manifest on the search engine and follow it. No pressure.
Facts. What is a street dancer? And the second question was,
What is the mentality
what is the mentality of a street
of a
dancer?
street dancer?
So I talk about the second part actually a lot, but the first part I can start with. We first got to talk about social dance, and in Black American communities, how social dance is a part of us as at like childhood. Like I'm growing up,
Mm.
I remember dancing with my family, going to functions. There was always Sunday functions, specifically at my grandmother's. We used to always go over there. My grandma would cook food. People would dance. She had like this little, well, she didn't have, but she lived in an apartment unit that had a basement, and they would do certain things there. Sundays or even Saturday nights, they would have little things there, so you would be down there in the basement. We used to also go to similar basement functions in Brownsville. They used to have these, it's like these green steps, but it's like fake grass. Like the steps were coated with fake grass, and then under is a basement, just family come, food, you got the adults had the drinks. We had like little Maltas or little ginger ale situations.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot of social dancing. A lot of us just dancing around. I wouldn't say so much doing like the latest steps, but it's like just doing what you see adults do, or just being a kid. So a lot of that stuff in terms of like dancing, that's like always been there. And I say that to say that like sometimes people ask like when did you start dancing?
Mm.
And for me, I could say like I've been dancing since I was a kid, but realistically, when it comes to street dance, there's a specific period of time for me. And the reason why I make that distinction is because in my experience, um, street dance always felt different than just social dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it is still social. You are dancing with people. There is a level of enjoyment, but the expression part of it and the type of system that you carry or the type of culture that you carry within whatever street dance form you do, that starts to play a psychological role on how you dance. It's not just about I'm just gonna go into a space and just move how I want. You know,
Mm-hmm.
street dance has certain principles and aesthetics and certain rules to it that naturally come up when you start street dancing.
Mm.
Um, I've always noticed that distinction when I would start to see spaces outside of my family. So like if I went to like a school function and there were kids dancing in the corner, there were other people dancing in the corner, and then there was a place for dancers to street dance or to do street dance styles or street dance forms, street dance techniques. So for me, a street dancer is someone who has a form, and through that form, they express style or
Mm-hmm.
styles. Um, their train of thought in how they dance is linked to a series of techniques and ideas, and systems. How they process what we call freestyle improvisational movement is rooted in systems, whether it be musical, whether it be cultural by way of some of the different ways we improvise
Mm-hmm.
as a community, as a people. Speaking of like the Black American experience, all those things make up street dance, and they're all interconnected. But I feel like street dance is very here. The process or the experience of being a street dancer is very here, and then
Mm-hmm.
things like social dance is like we're just hanging out. I'm not thinking about anything like what I'm working on, what I've been. I'm just I'm cool and I'm laid back. Um, and then the second question is what is the street dance mindset? Um, to go deeper into what is the street dancer? The street dancer mindset, again, in my experience, it's phrases and punchlines, um,
Mm.
intentional phrases and punchlines, setting up movements that play off of each other while you're in the pocket, and then out of those movements comes a punchline that may be additional movement or an additional pattern or way of moving. Psychology of a street dancer is dancing on the street.
Mm.
um, it's not studio based. It's not. In a lot of ways, it's not even community center based. We do a lot of stuff in the community center, um, and community centers nurture street dance. But in a lot of ways, a lot of these street dance forms, they may have developed in certain rec centers, but they really got their starts in the streets.
Mm.
Primarily, I feel like that concrete, the blacktop, that's like where street dance essence really lives. I've done a large majority of like feeling my ground for like street dance movement and idea and technique when I'm on top of a blacktop, when I'm in a parking lot or a park
Mm.
and I'm with people, and it could be like at the crack of night or in the afternoon, and you hear that phrase, what you working on, what you been labbing on, or it may not even be, it may be a mindless conversation, and then somebody just starts moving. um, the mentality of a street dancer plays into the music. I have a lot of music that I enjoy. um, I have a lot of music that like when I'm in the crib and I put it on, like I'm in there with it, you know. Like we was just me and the family. We was just playing some raw ears for Ari these past couple of days, and just enjoying like that vibe. It was like a whole other world. I'm a Kiss FM baby, so I love,
Ooh, Kiss
you know,
FM.
all the Lenny Green stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
my mind don't think street dance when that music is on. Um, but when I hear those pocket patterns, those drum patterns, whether it be funk, hip hop, um, and beyond that, beyond those percussive patterns, there's a bass that's giving me space to move in and out the pocket. There's other aspects of the harmony that's giving my movement space to stop or to
Mm-hmm.
flow
Mm-hmm.
or to be still within the pocket, and then to get back on beat, to explore the ideas of tempo, to explore the ideas of rhythm through my practice. It's tracks like that that nurture the psychology of street dance. It's just not any song, and it's just not a song that gotta be dope. It's it's something that when you hear it, your form change, your body change up. That's another distinction to street dance. At least in my experience, and I don't know if that's an era thing, but when you saw street dancers back then, whether it be crumpers, flexers, light feeders, like my generation,
Mm-hmm.
it's always like pull up the pants, change the posture, then you start going into your movement. You know,
Yeah,
it's never
yeah.
just like,
Two step.
nah. It's like you hear a track, ooh, I'm in here.
Yeah, yeah,
About
yeah.
to start going, right? And sometimes, in my experience, that aesthetic didn't need music. So that's another interesting thing. Sometimes street dance um, is oftentimes without the music, which sounds kind of like criminal to say, right? You're a dancer, like how you dance without music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there was something that Jerry Renty said on this one animation interview where he was like, sometimes they would practice their routines without music. They would, you know, count the pocket in their head. They were in the pocket in their head. They understood fundamentally that their movement existed in 4/4. So you still move in that 4/4, and I've seen that a lot of times. I've seen situations where it's like, yo, battle me right now, you know, and dudes just start moving, no track,
Mm-hmm.
you know. They talking smack like, you don't got nothing, you don't got that, you don't got that. Look, this, do, boop, boop, whoop, 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 and everybody's like,
Yeah.
you know, like
Phrases.
that's that's street dance to me. You know what I
Mm.
mean? It like street dance don't wait. I remember in high school, cause I'm from Brooklyn, even though I got a Lite Feet background.
BK
Grew
represent.
up grew up. We seen a lot of Flexn, and
Mm.
you know, especially in East Flatbush, like dudes ain't talk. You know, if it was dance static, dudes just walk up, take your heart, throw it up in the air, look at it,
Damn.
come back, pull two guns out, start walking up to you, boop boop boop, no track. You know, like that
Crazy.
atmosphere just starts to change. It's not just about dancing no more, or just like being in a, you know. To me, that makes up street dance.
Mm.
Not from the West Coast, but when you would see like EO Squad, um, Hollow Dreams,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Zio, you know, even the names, you get either a name that makes you want to know. It's more mysterious who this person is. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like who's storyboard. You know what I mean? Who's Hollow Dreams. And then you even go further back into the street dance lore, and the names are like verbs, like who's Bob and Andre, who's Robot Prince. It's like the thing they do is at the front or after the name, and it gives a certain incentive to like when you see them, they're gonna present that. You know what I mean? So it's like Bob and Andre, what's that?
Mm.
It's like, oh, that's, you know, and then he's like, you gotta see him though. You know, you see him, and Dre every time comes in, sets himself up, looks around, boom, right?
It's so funny. Even when you talk to him, he is already
Already,
talking to you and responding to you in
yeah,
those phrases and you're like, are you dancing right now? Are you talking?
To me, those aesthetics make up street dance. And again, it's
Mm.
like, as a black man growing up, um, I can't speak for club dance because I have elders in the club scene. I've experienced club dancing, but I wouldn't consider myself a club dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but similar to social dance, you go to the club, it's like you in the music. You just there. You may create and start to explore, but it's you in the music. And most club heads, like, they're about the music and how the music really moves them in that moment. They
Mm-hmm.
talk more about records. They talk more about times when, they heard a song, how it made them feel. You may see them in the club and they just like that. It ain't even really about, you know,
Mm-hmm.
social dance. There's food involved.
Mm.
Like somebody's eating something.
Yeah, yeah.
You got,
Shelter.
yeah, you got people around you. Somebody's playing some card games. They're playing spades. If the kids is playing Uno, dominoes, something. For our generation, it's like who got the PS1. Who getting on the sticks, right?
Yeah.
There's some type of activity, and then you dancing in between that.
Mm-hmm.
With street dance, somebody may have a bag of chips, may have a little water, but it's you know my experience. It was always like the raw grit of how we chose to freely move within that 4/4. It's coming out the funk too. When you look at the history of like our dance, you hear stories about like the tap dancers doing, the hoofers, like crafting up stuff before they hit the stage or even before they get put on the stage. Um, and the thing about a rep, like that's so and so or that's such and such. You see them, doing the thing they do
Mm-hmm.
or what they known for. Street dance is like everybody following an intentional system, right? Like you go over to Oakland and we all posing. Everybody coming up with their poses.
Mm.
Everybody coming up with their poses. And the quality of your pose is how sharp it is, how hard is that pose. When you stop, like you hear the elders talk, like and so, and they be it's funny out there they be saying their whole government, like they be like Jerry Washington 1976 he did a move where he went and you be like, and he had the coldest stop, like the way they talk about it.
Yeah.
It got nothing to do with anything but the quality of the movement. To me, that's street dance.
Mm.
And their energy on how they're able to retain that information and present it to this day at their age. To me, that's street dance as well, because street dance really speaks to how that freestyle movement nurtures the body.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've always heard when it comes to dance, like time limit, age limit. I can't be doing the splits like I used to. For me, street dance is like it almost provides a certain longevity because it's so system based. It's so like your arm is in this position. How do you control this? Or your leg is in this so and so. How do you control that? Those things are street dance aesthetics
Mm.
to me. And yeah, just based off experience and based off of what I research, I don't want to put like my word is like law or like what I'm saying is like the only, but for my experience, for my research, from me growing into this culture, and then the thing about culture being a people but also being a practice,
Mm-hmm.
like street dance culture, what makes it distinct is that it's a practice. It's how you lace the shoes to move. It's how you structure the pants you wear to move. Your whole outfit is functionality before
Mm.
fashion.
Yeah.
You see people a little too fly. It's like that's not street dance. Like you too fly. How you gonna move in that? You know what I mean? It's
That's
function.
me sometimes.
It's functionality. It's functionality. Like
Yeah.
come into a street dance space and you looking like you just there to hold the wall up. You may not
Mm.
be dressed for some. You got to. That's why the clothes is usually loose, or they fit it in a way where you can move. The cargos may have the pull tabs on it, so you're not stepping on it. The shoes may be flat, depending on the style of movement. They may have a little cushion because of maybe the bounce you may need for a certain style. Or I remember specifically foam posits. If you saw in any street dance circle and you saw somebody with foams on, you knew they had feet, like they can glide, because they got foams. It's like, oh yeah, he about to take off, just because you saw it. You
Foams?
knew foam posits. Yeah, it's like a type of Nikes.
Ah,
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Yeah.
You knew, for Lite Feet shells, you see some shell toes, some superstar ones or twos. You knew, oh, he get busy with the shoe tricks. But then, not just any shells. How were the shells laced? You know what I mean? You got 95% of the eyelets lit up, and then the back eyelid is behind the tongue. You know what type of shoe tricker they are. They take risks. They hold it, they drop it, they catch it back.
That's crazy.
No tongue, they raw with it. They probably stole those shoes, right? Because they could just cut the tongue off. They ain't paying nothing for it. They need to catch that trick, though. You may see a real brolic left foot and a real dingy right foot. They stole the shoe, but what shoe got the most pop is the fresh one. So when they bend that joint, it's going to flip up higher because it's a fresher shoe. Different things. That's street dance. You can never just see. You got to have an eye for that. If you're not in the culture or the practice of it, you'll see those people and not know what they're doing. You see a really beat up hat, that's a Lite Feet hat tricker. You see a really pristine hat. Sometimes it's not even off the brim, and somebody could just you know what type of hat tricker that is. Most likely a Flexn hat tricker. They got the really accentuated thumb, because they got all of these kind of moves where they like doing. I keep knocking this. They keep doing all the moves where they can flip and do all the different illusions. The certain level of finger control, you can see it. Different nuances where you could tell certain people, even how they practice, it shows. That's culture, because the practice is breeding a certain composition and how you present yourself, whether it be outfit or even your body structure.
Right. Your posture.
How you place yourself, how you decide to form up. Like some people, when you talk about the pull up the pants, some people just naturally, they start to be in this position. They find their arms here naturally. When they just labbing, they're already here, because they already know at some point they're just gonna naturally do that. Like that becomes like a habit. But then that habit creates culture, because now when you see people street dance, most of them, their movement be here. They be here. Especially dudes that's getting down with like the control, the body movement type of stuff. They here because it's a pull up the pants, throw a jab, pull up the pants, throw a connect. You see where the arms keep going.
Yeah.
Pull up the pants, get in the position. It's like everything in that foreground, that's culture. Because if I'm just dancing, why am I intentionally going here? I move wherever I want.
Right.
Street dance gives you that cultural, structural aesthetic. You know what I mean? Where everything has that feel. You see Lite Feeters, when they think about that bounce, they going down, they on the ball of their feet. When they rev up, they got that little swing. All of those things. It starts from the startup when they ask them for hype. They're already in that engagement of how to move. Those are cultural things that are practiced, because I can pick a random kid in Harlem right now, and they won't be able to do that, because they may be from Harlem, but they don't live the Lite Feet life.
Right.
I can pick a kid from East Flatbush right now and be like, yo, let me see some movement. If they not initiated into the culture of street dance, they're not just going, because you would have to be in it. But you in it through practice. Now you in it because you've entered the world within a world. You know what I mean? And now you got the eye. You can start to see like, oh, that's a street dancer, that's whatever. And then you can kind of be able to see like, okay, this person fronting like, I be dancing, I be doing, like, nah. You know what I mean? I do everything. I do a little bit of flexing, a little bit of Lite Feet. Like, nah, I be popping sometimes. You start to, the language, the lingo, starts to play into it. Even if somebody does one thing, like, I just do this style. Okay, but how built are you in that style?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You may be just a flexor, but what is the movement quality? You may be just a crumper, but what is your movement quality? Maybe just a light feeder, but what is your movement quality?
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter if you just whop all in, do a couple footwork patterns, Lyve Tyme steps, throw a hat. You got a clever fake out. That don't make you culture. Like you understand culturally how to think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, street dance don't recognize steps. You recognize psychology. It's psychological. It's the choices somebody make. You know what I mean? If you see somebody dance and they feet first with everything, but then the footwork is pushing, pulling, it's activating this and that, you know what type of life feeder that person is.
Mm.
You know what type of structure they in. You know, like that's the aesthetics that make up street dance. Whereas for other dances, I can't speak for all of them, but in my experience, what makes street dance very distinct is that there's a mindset that really drives it at the core,
Mm-hmm.
and then the movement and it relates to the music. And in practice, the music is first; it drives us. But I think right there, next to the music, is the psychology. Like one don't go without the other, and in fact, you actually in a lot of cases, and again, this is like, most people will debate this, but in a lot of cases, without the psychology of street dance, you are just doing steps to movement. Like if you're not knowing how to think like it, or how to think like a street dancer, how to think raw and gritty with your stuff, yeah, you are just doing the Fresno or the tone wop or the chest bang or the four corners or the arm flex or curls or any type of system or foundation, dime stop, whatever.
Yeah.
Like if you don't understand the psychology of how to be raw and gritty, which in a lot of ways can't be learned, it's like experience. You have to again touch that blacktop and be in spaces day and night with people that practice that culture.
Mm-hmm.
Pay those dues on how you work it, and then find yourself through that process. Yeah, then you'd understand street dance aesthetics. So that's in a nutshell. Like, what is a street dancer? What is the aesthetics? It's like combination of all that I said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny when you said that if you go in Harlem and ask somebody, like, freestyle for me now, or do you know Lite Feet, that some people wouldn't know what you're talking about, because me being international, I thought when I came to New York, I was like, everybody knows street
Yeah.
dance. And when I would meet people from Harlem or from Flatbush and whatever, I'd be like, yo, you know Lite Feet? They're like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean, what? I'm from Bulgaria, and like, I know Lite Feet. How do you not know? And it's so, it blew my mind that hip hop and freestyle and those communities are really their own worlds within this world.
Yeah.
And that's kind of New York City in general too. I feel like there's so many pockets and little circles and communities that someone else might never know exist.
Never know. A lot of people, they don't know. Some people like to forget. You got a lot of street dancers who deal with the pressure of family and friends thinking that that's not a viable option for them to be engaging in today's society. Like, you need a career. And in a lot of ways, they're right. I definitely can see how street dance could financially benefit. But at the core, it's still a lifestyle.
Yeah.
The beauty about that, though, is that I feel like when more street dancers, or when a street dancer realizes that it's a lifestyle and it's them, then they never turn it off, which is beautiful, because now it's not, oh, I don't got no money, I got to figure out a financial plan before I can dance again. It's like, no, you dance regardless. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm Italian and I was raised how to make pizza, There's no time I'm stopping doing that. You know what I mean? If somebody's Catholic, there's no time they stop, you know, doing the sign of the cross.
Mm.
Like, money don't change. Oh, I don't have no money on me. I can't do it today. Same for dance. Okay, you don't got no money in your pocket. Who's stopping you from still waking up and thinking about it, thinking about how to create new movements or create new stuff?
Yeah.
That's the difference. But in that, um, career choices make loved ones, families, and friends forget that they have street dancers in their family, and that in turn, community-wise, creates a certain disdain for street dancers. You meet somebody in the street, you dance. That used to be a thing before Instagram, social
Yeah.
media, and reels and stuff like that. In '09, you couldn't go to people and say, I'm a crumper, I'm a flexer, I'm a life feeder. They would instantly disrespect the thing that you stand for. Oh, you crump, you do all this. Or you flex, you do
Mm.
this. Or you life feet, you they'll be very condescending towards it.
Right.
So of course they would forget in when you come in now and you like, do you know? They'll be like, because they've programmed their mind so much to think that that had no value. Um, if it's not the NBA or being a rapper or getting a traditional job, like who cares, right?
Yeah.
And what's beautiful about that is that uh, practice that they would do was really what helped us shape our underground world, because you would go to Times Square back in the day and you would see the kids who 5 days a week they go to school, come home, go to school, come home, and then that Friday night they all go out with their friends. Their mom gave them a little $50 for TGI Fridays or Applebee's. They
Mm.
doing the Henny Wings, they taking pictures, and they the best they ever felt. Got their nice outfit on for the weekend. And ain't nothing knocking that. But in the cut, it's like the life feeders just sitting on the red steps or sitting in the McDonald's, just making jokes, cracking jokes, everything. You see flexes there, just sitting there, just labbing, working on stuff, connecting, doing
Mm.
something. Probably got like $2 in their pocket. You're on pop right now. Go on the train, hit, make some money on the hits, come back, you got like $50 now. You straight. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Sneakers may look cooked, clothes may look cooked. People looking at you like, ew, you may have no shirt on because you was just on the hits, just a bag on your back. It may look like you don't know where you're going in life, but you probably got like pocket full of money from hitting and you enjoying yourself. That was an underground world. It's like you blended
Mm.
into this society where people may have thought you was homeless, people may have thought you had no head on your shoulders, and you were doing some of the illest stuff. I even think about the generation before me, like maybe some of the poppers out here or hip hop freestylers, breakers, where they were a lot more outdated. It may be like the Champion or the Russell Sweats. This one we used to have this. It's not around no more. It's a drink called Models. Got to go to Mo's. It was like a department store.
Okay.
So you go to Models. You can get the Russell Sweats, the Champion Sweats, like $5.
Mm.
And I used to associate that with like the elder street dancers. Like you'll see a popper man, and it would be like hella baggy Russell Champion sweats and like Converse and like t-shirt. Like no disrespect, bro. I love you.
Uh-oh.
Because he still carries this aesthetic to this day, and it's dope to see, because it's a testament to how important it is to be about culture. But like John Locke's outfit, like how John Locke dresses, where it's like comfortable sweatpants, little Converse, got a little shirt on. Sometimes they would have the fedora. I remember being younger and seeing some of those older poppers and being like, you know, these guys is like dressing pretty like outdated, especially when it comes from coming from a younger perspective. Yeah, you did have dancers that dress comfortably, dress for functionality, but they also sometimes, change their clothes. Dudes used to have the Nike Shocks, get fly. They had their dancing sneakers and then they had their thing sneakers. I'm going to jams post like being around Lite Feet, Flexn, and Crump, I'm going to like open style jams, hip hop jams, popping jams, what have you, practices, sessions, and I'm seeing dudes spending the whole day in the Russell, whole day in the Converse, then they coming out, and just the values is different. Like, okay, you may be looking at me like my outfit is, but I'm the illest dancer in the world, you know, because they walking and they sitting on the F. You know, you got like Hurricane and Firelock on the F, big afros, and everybody looking at them like, you know, striped socks. You know, it's like they're not wearing the locking outfits. It's just they got the striped socks over the regular clothes. But you know, they sit down, you can see the socks. So everybody on the train may be looking at them like, but they don't know they looking at Firelock. This is a world champion locker. They don't know he probably on the train right now going to JFK to fly to some country and teach big workshops.
Yeah.
You know, and they going to work TGI Fridays or something like that. You know, to me, that's like where street dance became this underground. It's before social media,
Right.
where it was just like you had to know. You know,
Right.
you had to know. You would see a group of people just standing on Union Square, and you think everybody's street performing, not knowing you standing around a bunch of, you know, like legends or masters and certain things. And to me, that's like another aspect of why, like, in today's time, yeah, people may see the Red Bulls now. They may see like the popular dance videos now. So street dance feels all too common. But people still, you know, you ask them, they have no idea because they're not as in tune as they could have been. Yeah.
Good answer. I'm just sitting here like, I can just do this all day, just
Yeah.
listen to Kinen talking.
Nah.
Yeah, you paint it so well. It sounds like a movie, honestly. Your life sounds like a movie.
Yo, that's it. I feel like a lot of us, you know, we all lived that street dance life, and we took a lot of risk, even doing it. Like, I definitely know, like, the area I was from, my family, friends, a lot of them wasn't jacking, like, street dance for real. And I feel like a lot of people even before me, you know, some of the elders, I'm pretty sure their friends was the same. Like, you gonna dance, you gonna go practice. You know what I mean? You spend 3 hours practicing or working on your movement. It's like, what are you doing? Like, where's the choreography? What routines are y'all making? What shows are you gonna do? What gigs? It's like everybody's looking for the capital. Like,
Yeah.
they're not realizing how this is just our culture. This is how we live. This is how we practice. This is what we do. Like, it doesn't have to go anywhere. You know what I mean? A lot of that is not just my experience. It's like mad people. You know, when I went out west, I seen that. You know, like being with Tabo and seeing the late nights, and you know, California is big. You know, people that's gonna drive all the way out to downtown LA to just be like this for like 3 hours, it's because you want to do that. You know what I mean? Like you ain't like you not getting nothing but that. No money involved, no nothing. You just, you know, eating whatever snacks Tabo bring.
Oh my God.
You know.
Shout out to the sour plums.
Yo.
Those are my favorite.
Yo.
Yeah,
to me,
shout out to Tabo.
Yes, shout out to Tabo. Street dancer for real.
For
like,
real.
Concrete every day.
Yep.
To me, like, that's street dance life. You know, even, you know, Metal, Pain, shouts to the Black. Like, wake up in the morning, you think about street dance. You think about the movement. It don't mean that you don't do anything else. Of course, you got a life, but this is also a part of your life. It's also a part of your language. Like,
so that's actually leading nicely into my second question, which was, when we talk about training, a lot of people might picture training dance means, oh, you're in the studio for 5 hours in front of the mirror and you're drilling the same movement over and over and over again. And that definitely comes from commercial world and studio dance.
yeah.
And I found that when I started freestyling, and then I maneuvered from club to street to sessions. I remember only last year I started sessioning with you, and you were talking to me about labbing, and I was like, What do you mean? So I would love to hear your thoughts on how do you talked about systems and you talked about phrases that you have as a street dancer and how you wake up and you think about your movement. What would you say your training is as a dancer, or um, routine, I would say,
Yeah.
or habits that you might have? And it doesn't even have to be physical, it could be also like listening to particular music, looking for music,
Mm-hmm.
mentally practicing. What
Yeah.
is your overall diet when it comes to improving the quality of your movement?
The one thing that stayed with me since I started street dance was the lab book, for sure.
Mm.
Um, the lab book was once just a little spiral flip book, and now it's like a section in my notes, on my cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the lab book has been with me, been my place for research and development. Anytime I'm like studying or researching or want to develop my stuff, I always had a lab book. What the lab book used to do is it allowed me to understand these words that we use to describe certain things. So, for example, like system, idea, move, concept, technique, style, form. Um, it allowed me to structure those things.
Mm-hmm.
So my training now, honestly, it's very it's very I got to be present for it. Um, Fatherhood has definitely put me in a be in the moment kind of thing. I really it's really difficult to think like time ahead. I really
Yeah.
try to focus on the now, because it's everything. Life is so spontaneous when you're a dad, and you know you got street dance and you got the craft and the culture, but then also your work,
Mm-hmm.
your partner, and being supportive of your partner. Like there's a lot of things that come into your headspace where I can't just, when I was 16, put on music and like dedicate time. Fortunately, we do have the center,
Yes.
where I could put in some level of development. And before y'all get there, I do take I do take some time and get there a little early to at least cover my movement pocket,
Mm-hmm.
um, and put that on the side. So I'm always going back to the movement pocket and just making sure I understand how does this movement apply to the music that I'm dancing to, or specifically the beat. Then I
Mm-hmm.
go into my initial practice, which could be like, let's say I'm working on a specific technique. Um, the training aspect of it would be to just drill it in a specific way or through a specific tool. So if I'm working on dime stops and I'm using like arm placement, I may just work on that. And it's like push-ups. It's just training the strength of just making sure that my tension and my velocity is strong.
Mm.
Um, it's not about really trying to change anything or trying to find some fancy thing. It's just making sure that works. And then if I do a change, then how does that work like within the tempo, the movement pocket, rhythmically? How does that work? And then maybe focus on my timing. So where do I hold? Where
Right.
do I flow? You know what I mean? And then I may start to add or personalize. Like, okay, what if my hand was like that? And now I have two different gestures that I can work on. Um,
Now you're labbing.
Now I'm labbing.
Boom.
And I may reset, I may change it. If I feel like I'm like not finding anything, then I'll just go to a skill set. Like, okay, speed. Can I do it fast?
Mm-hmm.
So if I could do it fast, then I already got an advantage of when I do it just at the standard. I have a standard, but then I have a speed. My
Variation.
range, I'm in this range, but can I go farther? Can I go farther and keep the quality? So now I'm testing my range. And then I may go back to the lab again because now I'm like, okay, I'm here now, but what does this look like? What does this world look like with my movement? Maybe my movement is here now. Like, just do that. And then If I'm really structured, it's like every part of my body. Like, okay, I did this arm, this leg, that leg, my
Mhm.
chest, my head, and then from there, y'all probably pull up. We talk about some stuff. Um, that's like one aspect of the lab for me in terms of training and labbing. The train is another one. This is usually when I'm digging for music. I'm on the train, listening to tracks, and I'm just in my notes in my lab book, just rewriting stuff to understand it. I may be researching um, definitions of words, and how relative they are to the thing that I do. For example, I remember Mick was talking about the dime start. It's like his perspective is like there's no dime stop without a dime start. Um,
Mm.
and I remember always asking myself like, what makes a dime stop significant? Because when you talk to the elders, they always say stopping on a dime, and it's similar.
Yeah.
When I saw the practice, um, I realized what makes dime stopping distinct was something to do with the speed. Um,
Mm.
but then when I looked at the definition of speed, speed doesn't intentionally have a direction. When you put direction on speed, that's like velocity, right?
Right.
So now speed and velocity become two words that I start putting in my notes. Like, okay, well then velocity makes dime stop, and then maybe speed makes dime stops as well, but it could make sense to why they thought stopping on the dime, stopping on a dime, stopping on a dime. Because when you think stopping on a dime from a sports perspective, it's somebody running at a specific burst of speed, stopping on a dime, and then going in a different direction, changing speed, or
Mhm.
like I'm in my lab book thinking about stuff like this. When we talk about the the pocket and like being in a pocket, what's groove? I remember, man, I used to hate that word. Um, I used to hate that word. But
There's so many definitions out
but
there.
but terminology, I feel like, is a good part of training because it provides mental clarity for when you start to
Mm.
develop. But I remember groove. I looked up. I was trying to define groove, groove in a record, groove in the track. Certain drummers talk about not just the measure but the feel.
Mhm.
Um, then I started dealing with pocket. Pocket had a better feel for me in terms of like pocket and groove. But I like saying I'm in the pocket,
Mhm.
um, because I just personally I feel like I could be grooving, but if I say I'm grooving, I feel like I'm performing something now. It feels like a costume. If I step in like, yeah,
Mm.
look, I'm doing this groove, and then in this groove, I'm adding stops. It's just for me, it sometimes feels I have to fluctuate between that feeling cringe and versus if I'm like I'm in the pocket,
Right.
it feels relative to the beat that I'm on in the music. And there's nothing against groove or people who talk like that. It's just something for me that I always fluctuate to because sometimes I speak like that.
Right.
But the research of groove, and mentally knowing what it means also helps my training. It also helps my practice. It allows me to see how my techniques need to be danced.
Mm.
Um, and then when I'm dancing my techniques, it sets me on a path of creating good habits for my techniques. So it builds proper skills in relations to the music. Um, so that could be another thing. I'm on the train. That's where my mind is at. A lot of us call that the mind lab, where you just, um, and then idle moments where I could be, just standing up, helping the kids at the after school, or just having conversation, and I'm just, thinking of stuff,
Right.
just making stuff up and just trying to find something up. Um, Watching film, watching a show, getting inspired by something, playing a video game. It may not even be a literal move, but just the aesthetic. Like I really, when I was watching Mandalorians, um, the discipline of the fact that they wouldn't take off their helmet. I'm
Mm.
like, yo, what if like, you just stood in this pocket or this movement for the whole round, and like you find your range of motion within limitations. That's another
Wow. You
another
got that from the Mandalorian.
yo, because
Your
not for nothing, they
mind.
was not trying to take out, they was not trying to take off the masks, the helmets. It was
Yeah.
like, nah, this is the way. So for me, it's like
Mm.
I look at that and I think, okay, well, all my joints is gonna be dime stops. This is the way. I'm not gonna do nothing that ain't got stops in it, like, and just see what that does to your movement.
Mm.
All joint movement, all joint isolation. How is that gonna, like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
You start giving yourself some real playful tasks. Again, not to go anywhere, just to constantly train that street dance mind. What if? That's another way, dudes get in the lab. But I think at the very general, it's like train the physical, like a push up or like any type of physical activity. You just over and over, back and forth. The most boring part of it, but it's really about the discipline,
Right.
because it's gonna allow your body to retain that information, so that when you start to get creative with it, you get creative. That's where the lab comes in. And then like the practice, testing your speed, testing your size and your range of motion within those techniques that you developed, within those foundations that you developed. That's kind of what my process looks like throughout the day. But if it fluctuates a lot, and came a long way too, because it's definitely not how I started labbing. Like, had to learn and develop and understand this point.
In the process itself.
Yeah, it took me a while. Yeah,
I get it.
I still feel like I got probably a lot more time to go. There's a lot of things I probably still don't know, but I'm gonna stay here, stay present, and just work with what I have.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And I think the confidence that comes with it too, that like what you're doing, it makes sense, but also it's doing something for your dance too. I find myself in those places sometimes where
Like, it's doing something for your dance, like the confidence of it.
yeah, sometimes I feel like I question my process. I'm
Mm.
doing the process, but because I feel like it's hard for you yourself to see your progress. I feel like
Yeah.
progress is so incremental. Maybe other people around you see it,
Yeah.
but you yourself won't see it until
Yeah.
you've reached a certain point,
For
and you look
sure.
back and you're like, oh.
Yeah, yo, hell yeah.
So, I mean, discipline you're talking about, just trusting the process and every day showing up, not easy.
Yeah, nah, it's mentally, it messes you up, yo. That's why I feel like leaning on the things that inspire you really helps. Being around spaces. I also feel like your training and your labbing, like, although, taking time to do it alone, um, what I just described to you, 10 to 30 minutes, to me, if I'm training 3 hours, like, I need people, and
Me too.
I need people that, like,
Push
that
you.
get it. They'll push you, but they also get it. They also understand where you're trying to go. It can't just be like people that's just because they dancers, we're here. This is where the session is very intentional and very sacred. Can't just be like, let's all meet up and dance. Like street dance, nah. Hey, like,
Yep.
what are we working on? And not so much style, just like, what are we really working on? Like, forget the battle. And let's say we started the contest. If we're training for a contest, okay, how are we gonna get ready for this? What's the date? What is our deadline? Do we have to, what are the goals that we're gonna meet before we even fly out to this jam or go to this jam? Like,
Right.
if it's just about the craft, what are we working on?
Yeah.
What do we want to say about this practice? In this practice, do we focus on this? Do we train this? Okay, what are the results? What do we all want to gain from this, and then go further? It's not like, okay, we got this and we're done. We don't got to train no more. It's like, no, that's next step. So I feel like you need people. You for sure need people. And I don't want to say I'm speaking for myself, but I feel like a lot of people in dance world need people to train. You need people to train. especially if it's for an extensive amount of time where you have an intention and you want to share. And I think that helps the confidence, that helps the trust, because you didn't get it alone.
Yeah.
Now, if you are doing it dolly, that's valid too. And maybe it's just about you and your space. Sometimes that's also a bag. And I feel like, I guess the validation from that to where you can trust it will be if you present it in a battle or showcase and people get a good response. But at some point, executing and showcasing or testing it around others, or just overall testing your might of the stuff, is what helps secure the trust.
Also, not to get too comfortable
Yeah,
and be in spaces where you get challenged.
yeah, true. I mean, it's also the realization that we're never really comfortable if we're following the practice,
Right.
right? Like we dance to a different track every day.
Mm.
You don't know what that song is gonna give you. And then when we do repeat a track, we start getting software, taking the we're in a good place right now. Software, take the drums out.
Yep.
Now you can hear just the drums. It's a whole new track.
Yep.
You know,
Looping it.
looping it, you got a whole new lab now. It's now if you really know to make different choices, you're always gonna be hella uncomfortable. Um, it's always gonna feel, you know, but I also feel like in that moment, comfort and discomfort goes like this.
Mm.
Um, I also like to step away from the street dance sometimes, play video games or watch a show.
Mm.
That also helps. It's not to say that you no longer doing it, but sometimes you may need that distance for a little bit and come back to it.
What's the longest you've stopped dancing for?
I've never stopped dancing. To me, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, taking a break is not saying I'm not going to go to practices any. Like, to me, that's weird. Sorry. like like I mean, just my perspective. Like, once I started street dancing, like, unless something happens where like something in my mind says I don't want to street dance no more, then maybe that happened. But or if there's something personal.
Yeah.
But if you in it, you think about it every day. The breaks I'm talking about is like I play some games for a little bit. It don't mean that it's not crossing my mind. That may be a weekend, sometimes on the train, but I don't think I've had times where I'm not where street dance. Just the way my life is set up, where I'm not thinking about street dance. I see Ari do.
Yo, Ari's gonna be a killer.
Aria's
Next generation
Aria's
is
there
not
like
ready for
this.
Aria.
And I'm like, yo, you already know your 4 to the floor. You know your 2s and 4s. And then it could be with the arms, but then when I pick her up, it's just the torso. Then it's
Yo.
like just naturally having it. My mind is like, yo, when we're able to have real conversations, it's gonna be like, yo, Ari, what if you boop 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 boop? If she's interested in dance, but that's my street dancer mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When I see when we in the session and we labbing and I see certain things, my street dance mind. When I'm just, street dance mind is always on for sure. So I can't say I've taken a break from street dance ever really. I can't think of one, but that's just because, again, street dancer. I feel like in the social dance thing, you could be like, all right, I'm not gonna go to this function.
Yeah. for sure.
I may take a break from or club dance. I'm not gonna go to this club. I'm gonna take a break from clubbing.
Mm.
But then even then, maybe a club dancer would be like, nah, clubbing is forever, right? So it depends. But for me, street dance, I don't think I've ever taken a break. How about you? You taking breaks from street dance? Where you was like,
Oh my gosh. Not for a long period of time. I think I definitely have had like periods of time where I didn't dance for a week. But for me, when I do that, I start getting really depressed. And I don't know why. And then I'm like, Oh, I haven't been in the lab. I haven't really worked on anything. I haven't moved my body. And I'm like, that's why.
But I'm talking about like, so like let's say within that week, did you do like 2 minutes, like you just moved or not?
No.
Like you talking about for 7 days you didn't think, play a track, nothing.
Okay, I did play a track and I had thought about dance, but I didn't physically move.
Well,
So, okay, I guess it doesn't
yeah,
count.
yeah, I feel like I've said, like, for example, I've seen people like one moment they're like street dancers, they're practicing, they're training. The next moment it's like, yeah, I don't really.
No, I don't think I've had
Yeah,
that. Ever since I started dancing, it's
to
even if
me that's
physically I haven't moved, I've definitely been always
yeah.
thinking
I
about
feel
it.
like I feel like what we consider breaks is really not breaks. It's just taking a moment to just also do other things we like.
Right.
But I've seen people go like, nah, I'm out, and then like 3 years later, it's like, yo, I'm back. I've seen that before, where it's
Mm,
like they can literally account like for years, like street dance didn't even cross their mind.
no, I wouldn't be
Yeah,
able to. I will
yeah.
not be alive. I will be very unhappy person.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you got me thinking.
Yeah, that's a different. For me, I don't think I've ever experienced that. That's a different type of feeling. Maybe before I got into it, before I started dancing, then.
Right.
But once I got into it, yeah, it's over.
It's
It was over.
over. Yeah. I mean, when I got into it, I got into dance through choreography,
Mm.
and there wasn't such, obviously, we were practicing routines, but there wasn't so much of this consideration about your process of training, of being the best dancer you can be, the way
Mhm.
we are thinking right now. And the more I got deeper and deeper into it, you realize how every aspect of your life is related to dance. Honestly, when I have trouble in my life, it somehow I can tie it to something in my dance. And the
Mhm.
way I approach my dance, I notice is how I approach my life.
Yo.
So things I want to work on in my rounds, like when we talk about what do you think of this round? Oh, I kind of want to be in the pocket the whole time and layer and do things while being able to be in the pocket. That translates to my life in so many ways. I'm doing so many things, but I want to figure out in my life outside of dance how to be able to layer all these things and make them cohesive with the flow of life.
Yeah.
The flow of life to me is our pocket in dance,
Low key,
you know?
I used to think that I could definitely be more prepared for
Mm,
things, but my go-to when I started like working in after school was very improvisational. Like I would come in, and like kids would think that that was the lesson for the day. Like I planned it all out, and just knowing how to improvise and freestyle on the fly. Like definitely, I credit that to street dance for
for
sure.
sure.
Like we had, I give you a really cool example. After school, I worked at um, one of the first ones. It was like a 2 floor,
Mm-hmm.
and in the summer camp, each group used to get a room, like a classroom, like that was gonna be your room for the summer. And then each year we had like a summer theme. Like one year we did animals. Another year we did something else. But this year it was countries, like flags. Like each group was gonna be a country.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One group did like Italy, or another did America. And I remember I came in, they was like, Mr. Keenan, what's your country gonna be? And like my mind instantly was like, yo, we not a country, we a planet. We our own planet. And then the reason why I thought that is because all the groups in the after school, the summer camp, they were on the first floor. We were
Mm.
the only group on the second floor. So he's
Mm.
like, we're a planet? I'm like, yeah, we just landed on the school. We took over this classroom. And it was like, what are you talking about? I was like, we gonna make our own flag. I literally ran like
Yo.
all in one day. I ran down to the auditorium, got like this big like cardboard, then attached it to a board. We started painting it. We made some random logo. It's like, this is
Mm.
our flag. Um, it was like, what's the name of the planet? It's like Etunova. We just wrote that shit down. We wrote it in like a secret coded language, and then They used to have like when they bring the milks, they would have like cardboard stuff that they would hold the milks in, and then they would just put it for recycle. Went to the custodian. We grabbed a bunch of that cardboard. We cut it up, and we
Wow.
barred the door. We barred the door, and then we cut a little square in the door so you can see like the window in the classroom, and then we put like a little cover over that you can like lift. So it's kind of like we literally like took over that room, and like our planet, our spaceship is there, and literally even the director, this is the boss.
Yeah.
When she would come in, she would always have to knock. A student would be like,
Ah.
"Mr. Kinen is so and so," and I'd be like, "All right, y'all," and they will open. I used to have some of the students like when they'll call me and be like, "Hey, like we need somebody to pick up something from the main office." I'll be like, "Which students want to go?" They'll be like, I'll go, and then I'll like give them like these like gauntlets made out of like the cardboard, like a gauntlet with like a little laser. I'm like, "Okay, your mission, you got to go get loose leaf for Miss Samuels. You got 3 minutes, stay safe." And the kids would be literally to run through the halls like,
Wow.
just all
A
off of
whole world.
just all off of
People,
freestyle.
whole
Like I'm just
world.
making it up as we go, but you would think that like I wrote this down. I think street dance definitely contributed to that for sure. Like having a street dance mind.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is all we have time for today.
Yeah.
I really wish we could be here for like 5 more hours because I have so many questions
Yeah.
I couldn't get to, but we should definitely
Yeah, no, for sure.
continue the
Definitely gotta hit a
conversation.
part 2. Yeah.
part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. Street dance talk, man. I mean,
So much to talk about.
so much to talk about. We could do a street dance part 2. If people have more questions.
I have questions for 20 parts.
Yo. But appreciate you though
Thank
having
you.
me. Hope to be back again. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much once again
course.
for making the time.
Yes, my pleasure.
And if anyone has questions for Kinen, you can always message me or Manifest, and we can definitely bring them up next time we talk.
For sure, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Peace.
Peace.
Take care,
Later.
everyone.
Yep.
Have an amazing rest of your life.
For the next 2 million years.
Next 2 million years. Bye.